And we were looking at, I think we were studying shloka 40 in third chapter. So, see how the 7 or 8 slokas in this section is about the nature of desire, right? What is desire? What is its nature? How does it act? And how do you control it? Is basically what it is. And so, it all starts off with Arjuna asking the question, Atha kena prayuktaha ayam papam charati purushaha anichan api vashneya balaviva niyojitaha. That means what Arjuna is asking is, what is that invisible force, right? That force that pushes man to do things that in spite of himself, that the things that he knows or she knows not to do, which is not good for their own well-being, they still do it as if pushed by something very strong. What is that? Right? And Krishna says, Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava. So, see, the invisible hand is what? God, right? Cause of everything is God. Then God acts through Prakriti. Paramatma acts through Prakriti. Prakriti acts through gunas, right? Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas. Gunas act through Kama. So, the cause for our actions is what? The actual physical cause that we can actually feel is desires, right? Desire is the one that is the actual cause, but behind desires are gunas, behind gunas is Prakriti, behind Prakriti is Paramatma. So, Paramatma transcends and sits at such a level that even though he is cause of everything, he is caused through all these upadana karanas, right? All of these cease to act if he wills otherwise. See, Kama is doing its job as Kama because of the will of God, right? Tena vina trunam api nachalati. That means without the will of God, without God's desire, nothing, even a blade of grass does not move, right? So, it is God, Prakriti is gunas, Kama, action. So, Kama or desire is that which we actually feel, right? So, here, Arjuna is not asking about God, even though Krishna goes and connects it later on. He's asking about that which we can actually feel to now, and that is Kama, right? Kama is the cause of action. Kama is the cause of action, or actually as something that puts a contour to action. Because see, action is default, so even though it's not causing action from vacuum, it is putting a contour around which action goes, right? Action, and Kama is that holds or draws a contour around which our karma happens, right? So he says, Kama esha, that invisible force is our desires. That's the desire. Is desire a daiva or purushakara? Both, right? It is both, right? The desires that we have is also determined by the karma that we get, right? Because the desires that we have depends on the situation in which we are, the society and the surroundings in which we grow, and also our own desires to change all this. So it is both a part of Purushakara, it is man's will or actions, as well as that which we get through our karma, right? That is not, that's daiva. Our surroundings are things that we don't control. So both cause desires, and both these desires, cause actions. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. So he says, Kama esha, that invisible force, that force that has that strength to move people, is Kama, is desire. Krodha esha, and it is the cause of all the effects. Krodadi, and even though Adi is not used, it's used as an Upalakshana. That means, we looked at all the 6, right? Kama is the root cause. Krodha, anger. Lobha, greed. Moha, obsession. Mada, kind of pride. but not the good kind of pride. And I'll talk about it later on. Mada is pride, and Matsara is envy. So these are the effects of Kama. And I think 2 classes ago, we were looking at how desire transforms into each of these. So we saw that, right? A cause and effect. So all of these, Kama, Esha, Krodha, Esha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, basically comes from where? Rajoguna. So Prakriti's gunas causing Kama, right? Rajoguna, Samudbhava, and then Mahashana, Mahapapma, Vidhi, Enam, Iha, Vairinam. So he is the enemy. So he's what Krishna is doing is he's transforming desire into something which is detrimental to us, an enemy that needs to be conquered. Right? Vidhi, Enam, Iha, Vairinam. He is the enemy. Know that he is the enemy. The real enemy is desire. And again here, this is what kind of desire is this? Bad desires, right? Tamasic desires and Rajasic. Not the desire to do good. You don't need to conquer it. You need to actually cultivate it. Right? It's a desire to do bad. Rajo and Tamogunas. So, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam. Okay? So, he says that desire is that enemy. Then he goes on to say that desire, why is desire bad? Right? We were discussing this in last class or 2 classes ago. Why is desire bad?
Because it is never satisfied.
Oh, not a problem. See, even good desires are not satisfied. Right?
It binds you.
It affects your
It
knowledge.
binds you.
That is right. See, the problem with Kama is what? It destroys your thinking. Right? See, that's why he's saying Jnana Avritti. That means your ability to understand and your ability to decide and think will be affected by desire, and therefore, to keep the integrity of your thinking faculty, desire needs to be kept at bay. The bad desires, the tamasic and rajasic desires should be kept at bay. And that is the problem. If desire had nothing to do with knowledge, there was no need to control the desire. Right? Just because it affects the knowledge, it needs to be controlled, because the greatest asset is our clarity of mind. Right? The clarity of mind is the greatest asset, and to keep its purity, you keep the rajasic and tamasic desires at bay. And nothing, there is no other reason other than that. To keep the thinking faculty pure and working sharp. Right? And that's why desire needs to be kept at bay. So, but the thing is, what Krishna is saying in the verse 38, desire has 3 stages in which it envelops us, or envelops our thinking. He says, Dhumena avriyate vakni. That's one stage. Just like smoke envelops fire, desire envelops our knowledge. It is easier to control desire when the desire is like smoke. Right? Then, yatha adarshaha malena. Just like a mirror, the dust on the mirror stops the reflection of the image. The second stage of desire is just like the dust on the mirror obstructs the reflection of the image. Right? So when it does that, it is in the second stage. That means, what does the mirror stand for in this case? What did I say last time? The mirror is what? Your antakarana, right? Your buddhi, manas, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. All of these are the mirror that Krishna is talking about. So, dhumena avriyate vaktihi yata adarshaha malena cha. Just like a smoke envelops the fire, desire in its first stage envelops our thinking, and that's why it's bad. Desire is bad because it affects the knowledge, our understanding. Otherwise, there's no problem with desire. Right? So, at that stage, you can easily conquer desire. The second stage of desire is when it affects the faculty of thinking. That means, just like the mirror, when the mirror cannot reflect anymore when there is dust covered on it, the second stage of desire is when it covers the antakarana, just like the dust covers the mirror. We lose the thinking and we lose the clarity, right? Because the mirror is no longer giving us the right image, we lose the clarity of what we are understanding. So that's the second stage. And the final stage, and in that stage, it is very hard to conquer the desire, right? And in the third and final stage, what has happened? Yata ulbena avritaha garbaha tatha tena idam avritam. And the third stage is, ulba is, the skin, the womb, the fetus, right? Just the garbha, the fetus is covered by the skin of the womb. Just like that, when desire begins to cover our knowledge and our understanding, what happens? What is happening in this case? You are constrained, right? You are restricted. You are no longer free to think and do things for your own well-being. So you become very restricted. So that is the third and final stage, out of which it is next to impossible to come out of. It is very difficult.
On one hand, you said that, okay, it stems from this invisible hand, right? And nothing moves without, a blade of grass doesn't move without him.
Right.
So is he not the cause of this desire as well?
He is the cause of its acting. But you are the cause of why it is acting on you. Right? So, like maybe once we go through the next few verses, see, your desires are there because of your actions, right? Through the daiva, right? As well as purushakara. Both are there. But the desire is there and acting because of God.
Okay. So it's available, but you actually choose to, but because of your thing. Okay.
Exactly. So your actions have caused it, but it is there, the structure of desire is there because of God.
Okay.
Right?
Is it like saying that it's the temptation is there, is made available? The possibility of temptation is there. Whether we get tempted or not, it's up to us.
Purushakara. That is Purushakara,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But when you say whether we get tempted or not is up to us, is only when the desire is at the smoke level.
Correct.
Not when it is at the dust level or the womb level.
Correct.
At that time you have no control over yourselves. Because it is completely taken over you. Right? And we'll look at the next few verses where, there's a top heavy and a bottom heavy structure that Krishna talks about. But when desire becomes stronger like that, it is very, very difficult for desire to be controlled at that level. At the smoke level, yes, which is normally there, it can be controlled. But at the other levels, it is progressively very, very difficult to get rid of. Again, here we are talking not about what, because always there is this misapprehension that desire should be conquered. You cannot, as long as you are alive, you always have desire, because it is the nature of manas, right? As long as you are awake, you have manas, you have desire, right? The nature of manas is to have sankalpa, that is desire. So the Krishna, he's talking not about desires, he's talking about tamasic and rajasic desires. Sattvic desires to learn, desires to do good, they all need to be cultivated, not conquered. So this needs to be very, very understood very well. Otherwise, there is no state of desirelessness. Even nishkama karma that Krishna talks about is nishkama of rajasika and tamasic kama, not sattvic kama. Right? Sattvic kama is always desired and needs to be cultivated. Right? So these are the three stages, right? And how does man get to these three stages? Is the next and in the 39th verse he talks about avritam jnanametena jnaninaha nitya kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena anelena cha. We have seen this last class. So in the 40th one is where he introduces how kama gets into the system, right? Indriyani mano buddhir asya adhishtanam uchyate yetair vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. How does kama get into the system? So, Krishna has already transformed this desire as an enemy. He says, vidhi enam iha vairinam. He's the enemy. He's the real enemy, right? And he says, how does this enemy get into your system? How does that enemy get powerful? He says, this enemy has 3 places in which he sits. Right? He has 3 adhisthana. Adhisthana means place where he sits. Right? What are those 3 places? Indriyani, which is
Sensory.
the 5 sense organs. Manaha, manas. Buddhi,
Judgment.
judgment. Right? The faculty of judgment, the faculty of thinking, which is manas, and indriya, which is the sense organs. So, desire has these 3 places in which it sits. It sits in indriyas, it sits in manas, and it sits in buddhi. And how does it get into the system? See, it naturally sits in indriyas. Correct? How does it naturally sit in indriyas?
You're tempted to do something that you don't really.
That's your connection to the external world.
Yeah, but what is the nature of indriyas that makes it the place of desire?
Outward looking.
Yeah, but still,
Pleasure seeking.
right? It is the nature of sense organs to seek pleasure, right? And that is what, seeking pleasure is desire, right? So it is the nature of the sense organs to seek pleasure, and that is the first adhisthana of desire. Desire naturally sits in sense organs. You want to see things that give you pleasure, taste things that give you pleasure, touch things, that these are all naturally there in the sense organs. Right? They're all naturally there in the sense organs, and that's how it has already entered into the system, like the smoke has enveloped the fire. Right? But the next level in which it takes care of, it gets into the system is when? How does it get into the system in the next level? See, first it affects indriyas, right? Seeking pleasure is the nature of indriyas. Seeking pleasure, right? Then what happens?
Rationalization.
Right? Your thinking gets hijacked. You start rationalizing. The nature of manas is to focus, right? And you start thinking about, oh, really, that I need to focus on this. I need this, right? That rationalizing in your manas is the next stage of desire, taking its locus in where? In manas, in the mind, right? I mean, manas, even the mind and manas, even though they're not the same, in manas, in the thinking faculty.
Well, the desire to make money is not in the sense organs, it's in the mind.
It is in the buddhi, next stage, right? So, it's the natural potency of indriyas to seek pleasure, but once left to its own devices, through indriyas, the kama hijacks the manas. You're thinking, right? You started thinking, okay, hey, what's wrong in doing that? I'll do that. So that's, your thinking is going around your desire, right? So your desire hijacks your thinking. So that means it has come to the next stage of manas. That is probably the stage when it is mala. Even though antakarana, all the 3, it's talking about all the 3. It's more about your, the dust covering the mirror stage. Finally, when it hits buddhi, what happens? What is wrong in doing this? We should be doing this, right? Greed is good. Which is what stage of kama is that? Kama hitting?
Buddhi.
What your faculty of judgment, what is right and what is wrong, is hijacked by kama. When kama hijacks that,
It's over.
it's over. Right? Your antakarana is gone. Right? Because buddhi is the one that decides what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing. Choosing what's the right and what's wrong is in the nature of buddhi. So when kama affects buddhi, basically you're destroyed. People who lose their mind, crimes of passion. How does crimes of passion happen? Passion is desire, indriyas are affected, manas is affected, thinking is affected, buddhi affects, you forget, the discrimination, to discriminate between what needs to be done and what should not be done. Right? When that is gone, you are lost. Right? Buddhi nashat pranashyati. That's what Krishna says in the next, I think, 5th chapter, somewhere there. That once your buddhi is nasha, is gone, pranashyati. You are as good as dead. Okay. So we saw this in the last class, all this, until 40th verse we were studying. Now, 41st verse, Krishna says, Tasmat Tvam Indriyani Adau Niyamya Bhartashava Papmanam Prajahi Enam Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. Tasmat, because Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, because the destruction of our faculty of judgment is our own destruction, therefore, Tasmat, therefore, what? Indriyani Adau Niyamya. What is Adi? In the beginning itself, control your Indriyas. When is the desire at the weakest point?
At the sensory level.
At the sensory level. When is the desire at the strongest point?
Judgment level.
At the buddhi level, right? Do not let the desire get into manas and then affect buddhi, because that's when you are destroyed. So he's saying, Tasmat, therefore, because of all this, Indriyani Adau Niyamya, control your senses at the beginning itself. Keep the desires at bay when they arise. Stop it when they arise. Not let it be and then try to rationalize and try to do some quick fixes, because nothing of those things work. Adau Niyamya Bhartashava, O Arjuna, Papmanam Prajahi. He's the one who causes us to do bad things, right? Papmanam Prajahi, kill him. Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. What is Jnana? What is Vijnana? Vijnana Nashanam is what? It destroys physics, chemistry, biology. What is Vijnana?
Science.
See, Vijnana is science today. They equated it. Vijnana means Vishesha Jnanam Vijnanam. That means Samanya Jnana is Jnana. That means, like in this class when we discuss, it's Samanya Jnana, right? If you go back, do Manana, Didhyasa, then you get into more details, more things. You get more questions. Then you answer those questions and all of those things. That is what? Wisdom, right? It transforms into Vishesha Jnana. It's more detailed and more wise. It's not just Samanya. It's not common sense anymore. It is more detailed. So Jnana Nashanam, Vijnana Nashanam. So basically it's saying it destroys all of the thinking. Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. Now the question is, how do we control it? Okay, can desires be controlled? That's the first question. How did we start the third chapter?
Control them, we have to outgrow them.
Can you express desire and control it? No. Because Krishna says, what does he say? Kamo hi anala. Kama is anala, like desire is a fire, right? And also, the literal sense of the word fire, anala, is what? Na alam iti analam. Alam buddhi. There is no satisfaction. Whatever you throw in fire becomes stronger, right? You cannot put out fire by throwing things into it. It becomes stronger and stronger. So, kamo hi anala, and anala you cannot put things and calm it down. No. Then can you suppress it and control it? No. So, you cannot do both. Then what do we do? Right? How do we outgrow? That's the next thing, right? So, he says there is only one way of controlling it, and it's not a quick fix. Like if you look at what Krishna is saying here, and it is kind of paraphrasing of an even more detailed version of it in Kathopanishad. So when some of you were there when we did Kathopanishad, but in Kathopanishad, the same shloka is there in more details, right? And it starts up for sadhana yoga. In the sadhana portion of Kathopanishad, the body is, Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi Shariram Ratamevatu Indriyani Hayan Yahur Vishayanstesha Gocharan. So, the body is like the chariot, the Indriyas are the horses, the rain is, the manas, the charioteer is the buddhi, and all of those things. And how do you control that? That is basically what Krishna is talking about. Okay? Here, if you go to verse 42, Indriyani Parani Ahuhu Indriyebhya Param Manaha Manasastu Para Buddhihi Yo Buddheh Paratastu Saha. And tell me how this means transcending desires. He says, Indriyani Parani Ahuhu. they say, ahuhu, they say, Indriya is para, Indriya is greater. Indriyebhya param manaha, manas is greater than Indriya. Manasastu para buddhi, buddhi is greater than manas. Then, yaha buddhehe paraha tu saha. He is greater than buddhi. Okay, what is, how do you transcend the mind now? I mean, how do you transcend desires? This is one shloka. He packed everything into it. That's why you cannot learn Vedanta through books. You cannot. You need context. You need the commentators to give you the context, to connect it to the greater thing that's there somewhere else. Then there is something else somewhere else. And that's why you need Brahma Sutras, which connects everything. Without the Brahma Sutras, you don't know the connection between this one verse to the 10 verses in Kathopanishad, to 100 verses somewhere else, to all of those things. That gives you the complete context. The whole map of what is a sadhana. Wherever sadhana comes, this will be there. Okay? So let's take that. That's very interesting. And this will be, I'll tell you why this is a template for creation as well. Okay, so. Okay, so it says Indriyani Parani Ahuhu. In the Kathopanishad, it says Indriyebhya Parahi Artaha Arthebhya Param Manaha Manasastu Para Buddhi Buddher Atma Mahan Paraha Mahatat Param Avyaktam Avyaktat Purusha Paraha Purushat Na Param Kinchit Sa Kashta Sa Para Gatihi. More. Mahat is greater than Buddhi. Prakriti is greater than Mahat. Purusha, Paramatma is greater than all. Sa Kashta, Sa Paragati. He is the final abode. So, we have to connect everything together and then give you what he is talking about here. First of all, what is at the lowest level? No. See, he says, what does he say? Indriyani Parani Ahuhu. Indriyas are greater, he says. He starts off with saying Indriyas are greater. Greater than what? He doesn't say that.
Better than not having.
No.
Desire?
No.
Indriyas.
Panchabhutas.
Oh, physical.
Physical, right?
Physical.
So Panchabhutas. First comes what? Panchabhutas. So these are the five. What are the Panchabhutas? Tell me in the order. This is Vedanta class. This is order. There are some new, they have come, Urmil and all, Beth, they used to come for Kathopanishad. So they are watching all of us. They're determined, it's like quality control. They're like, okay, how is Vedanta class going? People are not able to give the order, so no need. Okay. It needs to be some order, right? Either start from Akasha or start from Prithvi. Give me one order.
Prithvi, Jala, proper.
Okay, reverse order. Okay, Prithvi, Jala.
Vayu.
No. If Vayu, no for Vayu, there's only two more. Yeah, somebody, anybody. Huh? Agni, right?
Okay, so it's Agni.
Right? Vayu,
Vayu.
Akash. Right? So 5. Order is, Akashat Vayu, Vayor Agni, Agner Apa, Adya Prithvi. 5. Right? So 5 starts from Akasha. Those are the Panchabhutas. Panchabhutas. So, Indriyani Parani Havuhu means what? Their Indriyas are greater than the Panchabhutas. So how many Indriyas are there?
5.
Really? Quality, I think it's gone.
8, 9.
Really? 10 10 organs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
5 sense organs, 5 organs of action,
Eyes.
right?
Ears.
Corresponding to 5 bhutas,
Yeah.
correct? 5 sense organs. Akasha, what is the sense organ for Akasha?
Ears.
Ear. Yeah, Akasha, right? Shabda. Then, for Vayu, skin,
Skin.
right? For Agni,
Eyes.
eyes. For this thing, Jala,
Touch.
for water,
Taste.
Sparsha is already over, right?
Taste.
Taste, right? And for Prithvi Tattva,
Nose.
yeah, smell, yeah, nose, right? So those are the 5 sense organs corresponding to the 5 bhutas. 5 organs of action. Right? What are the 5 organs of action? So this is Dasha Indriyas. 10 Indriyas. Shabda, I mean for ears, it is what? Voice. Then touch.
Skin.
Skin.
Skin is sense organ. Organ of action is
Hand.
hands. Then
For Agni, it's feet.
feet, legs,
Yeah. Jal is genitals.
genitals.
And Prithvi, it's anus.
Agni, excretory, right? So 5 organs of action, 5 organs of senses, 5 panchabhutas. So what Krishna is saying is, this is, I'll just show the arrow. This is the arrow of greatness, then I'll show you the arrow of control. It's a top-down control. So arrow of control, arrow of greatness. So this Indriyas control, panchabhutas is basically what in the body? I mean, this is in which domain? I'm talking about domain of what? Adhyatma, our body, right? So this is Adhyatma domain. Adhyatma domain. Panchabhutas are what in Adhyatma domain? Panchabhutas are what in Adhyatma domain? Our structure, our body, physical body, right? When you die, all this goes away, but this is cremated, right? So, see, the body is from 3 bhutas, correct? Prithvi, Jala, Agni. 3 make the body, right? So if I can still, that's called as Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is 3, right? So it is Prithvi, structure, then Jala, and then Agni, right? Your digestion and all of those things are Agni. So that's 3. And then your activity, your learning is through which one? Your nervous and muscular thing. Vayu, right? Vayu and Akasha. So 2. So when you get these 5, that means you have a structure, human body that can now work.
Deha.
Yeah, the whole thing, right? It can work. Then on top of it sits Indriya. So what does it mean that Indriya is greater than Panchabhutas? It's Indriyas that direct things,
Through Pancha.
right? That affects Panchabhutas, right? If the Indriya says eat a lot, your Panchabhutas, what happens? Your Prithvi Tattva becomes more, right? Your Jala Tattva becomes more, right? If your Indriya says go do yoga, these Panchabhutas are in stream, right? So Indriyas control your Panchabhutas, right? How your body is controlled by how your senses are, how your actions are, right? Your organs of actions and organs of knowledge, they control your body, right? So Indriyani Parani Ahu, right? But I'm going to take the Kathopanishad. So on top of Indriya, even though Krishna doesn't mention it, is what? Called Pancha Tanmatras. Pancha Tanmatra. What are Tanmatras? Tanmatras are the qualities of the bhutas. That is, in the Akasha there is what? Shabda Tattva, that we hear, the sound, right? That is the Tanmatra. Indriya connects to the Tanmatra. This is called as Indriya Artha. That is our object of sense. Right? Kathopanishad says the object of sense is greater than sense. Because it's the object of sense that control what the sense does. Because the senses seek out the objects, not the other way. Right? Therefore, the objects are in a greater position than the senses. So, pancha tanmatras are what? Shabda tanmatra, sparsha tanmatra, then what is the Agni?
The higher senses.
No. Tanmatra, sensations, right? Sense of sight,
Form.
right? Rupa tanmatra, rasa tanmatra,
Taste.
then
Order.
order, right? So these are five. So these are the five objects of senses. So they are higher than the senses because the senses seek out the objects, not the other way. So these totally how many? 5, 10, 5. So 20. So these are 20. So in the Sankhya, these are the first 20 parts of the body, right? And then what does Krishna says? Indriyebhya param manaha. Manas sits on top. What does Manas do? Manas is the organ of focus, right? So Manas is the organ of focus. That means it is Sankalpa Vikalpatmaka Manaha, and also it is the organ of focus. It is like in the Taittiriya Upanishad, not Taittiriya, Kathopanishad, the horses are the Indriyas, the reins that control the horses is Manaha, right? Mana Pragrama Evacha. So, this is the Pragraha. This is the one that controls the Indriyas. Manas says to the Indriyas, go seek that out. The Indriyas go seek it out. Just like, when the reins move the horses a different way, then they move to a different direction, right? So Manas is the organ of focus that focuses the power of the Indriyas in the direction that it wishes. Manas, right? On top of Manas is what? Buddhi. What does Buddhi do? Right? Nischayatmakam buddhi. It means it gives you judgment of what is right and what is wrong. To you. Not what you think is right may not be the right dharma, but it is a faculty of judgment. Based on your knowledge. It's not the judgment. Buddhi doesn't always give you the judgment of the real dharma, just for you. So buddhi controls the manas. Yes or no? Right? What you think should be done, you tell manas to do it, your manas goes and does it. Right?
Yep.
So buddhi is nishchayat. Okay, so he only talks about, then he says buddhaya paraha saha. He skips a bunch of things. Krishna skips a bunch of things here. What is on top of buddhi? What sits on top of buddhi? What domain is this? Adhyatma, we're talking about body, right? So, when we go to Adhidaiva domain, that's different. We talk about. See, each one of this is controlled by a Devata Shakti. That is where creation comes. That's a different thing. But
Is it Chitta?
no. There's one thing between
Ahamkara?
Ahankara, right? Okay. So, I need somebody to explain to me why is Ahankara greater than Buddhi? It says Ahankara has the power to direct the Buddhi to do what to do certain things.
Because it's a sense of self.
Yeah, so
So it gives you the importance that it gives you self-worth.
okay.
So that's why it's important.
No, it isn't. But I'm talking about this order. Why does Ahankara sit on top of Buddhi?
Because when you get really angry, you don't control your mind. You do things you're not supposed
But
to.
how is that Ahankara? How is that related to
Because
Ahankara?
that relates to the desire to do minus and me being greatness.
Right.
That tempts your anger or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the sense of doership. The sense of doership is in Ahamkara.
Ahamkara is ego or is it what is that?
Ahankara is yeah. It's I mean this is not durahankara, right? This is the sense of self. Just the sense of self is not. It's not good or bad. It's just there. It's sense of self. Identity, self-identity, and all of those things. Self-worth.
Is it because it thinks you are the controller?
What's that?
Is it because it makes you think you are controlling?
It's there, but why is ahankara on top of buddhi? Because of all of this, it is the sense of self that is the most powerful.
Yeah.
Like if you take other things away, what determines what is right and wrong for you to do? It is your sense of self, right? See, Western concept of India, where is it hitting? You Indians are useless. Let's say Hinduism is useless. Where does it hit?
Ahankara.
Right? When you hit the ahankara of a certain person, you get his buddhi. Right? Or your whole lineage is useless, you guys are all useless. That means what is the first thing that you are losing here? Your sense of self-worth. If the sense of self-worth is gone, your buddhi is how do they brainwash people? What is the trilogy that movie was there? The trilogy movie, what is that? He is a CIA agent.
Born identity.
Born, right?
Yes.
How do they break him?
They condition him.
They break his sense of self first, right? And then they build it in a different way that they need, right? In born. So, what is keeping all this intact? Sense of self.
So ahankara gives you a push.
Ahankar is an identity that keeps everything together, right? It is minus. It is what I am, is what ahankara is. When we talk about Indian identity, or whatever Hindu identity, or whatever tradition identity, that identity is what? Ahankara. Right? So, like if you go back in old world, there's an honor system, right? Things you do because of honor. That's ahankara. Pride in my lineage, or pride in my this thing or that thing. And in that system, you make people not do certain things by shaming them. Again, shame hits where? Ahankara, right? So this is what keeps everything intact. Ahankara is the most, so the sense of self-worth, sense of identity, sense of root. See, this is an inverted tree. Right? Ashwatha Vriksha that Kathopanishad talks about, and also Gita, the roots, you see the roots higher. These are all the branches. We are coming to roots here. Ahankara is where you get the root, where you connect to your roots. That gives you the identity which determines your buddhi. Right? If you destroy the identity of a person, you can take hold of their buddhi. Take hold of their buddhi, their manas, everything is taken care of.
Kind of ideal. People say life of tree.
What's that?
Tree life or life of tree.
Yeah.
Kind of ideal mix. It relates well with.
Yeah. The Ashwatha Vriksha, it's there in the Kathopanishad and even in Gita. So that's why ahankara is very important. Ahankara is not bad. See, ego is bad, but that is durahankara. That is misplaced. Self-confidence is good. Overconfidence is bad. So durahankara is bad. Ahankara is, this is not even ahankara, this is swabhimana. Abhimana. This is swabhimana. See, people like, freedom fighters, they could hold, themselves against mighty British. Why? Because of swabhimana. If you lose swabhimana, there is no will to fight. When you lose the buddhi, you lose manas, everything is gone. Right? This is the one that makes you hold all this. So ahankara is that important, and that's why it is greater than buddhi. Because, see, people who came to Jyotisha class, buddhi is what? Which graha is buddhi? Kartik?
It's the moon, isn't it? Buddha?
Buddha, right? Buddha is buddhi, right? Buddha is what? Ahankara is what?
Mars.
Sun, right? So, Buddha is always going around sun. Right? If you take sun away, he will seek another sun and go. That means Buddha is like this toddler. If you have a father figure, you lose one, you go to another one. It cannot be its own father. It seeks father. So Buddhi is like that. This is Buddha Graha. This is Surya. Right? So this is Surya, which is Ahankara, and then Buddha below that. And this is Chandra. So that's why Ahankara is very important. Now how, more than Ahankara, what is more important than Ahankara?
Chitta.
Chitta. Right? And what is Chitta?
Your value system, isn't it?
No.
Sense of right and wrong.
Chitta is nothing. Memory.
Memory.
See, when we say memory, it doesn't mean much, right? See, Chitta is where our samskaras are stored. That means, aham mama, what? Kamaha, samskaraha. That means, what are samskaras? Your experiences, what shaped you, what experiences shaped you, what values shaped you. All of those things are where? In Chitta. And what is the most important thing about Chitta? Vidya. Right? Your education system comes where? Chitta, because that is the one that is shaping your personality, your Chitta. Your Chitta shapes your Ahankara. Your Ahankara keeps Buddhi in check. Your Buddhi controls your Manas. Your Manas controls your Indriyas and everything else.
You said Chitta shapes Ahankara?
Yeah. Right? See, when you study all this and you get a pride, is what? It's, yeah, that's what. See, when you study all this and you get Swabhimana, or it deflates you. Both ways.
Or it overinflates you.
Overinflates you. What it can do, right? Whatever you understand, your understanding either inflates you or deflates you. What it can do, whatever. So your Chitta controls your Ahankara, basically. That's what it's doing. So the root of the inverted tree, this is the whole body. How many tattvas are there in the body? 5 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 24. Right? So 24, this is the 24 tattvas of Sankhya. So the 24 tattvas that make up the body, these are the 24. So, the question, let's connect back to what Krishna is saying. Tasmat ado indriyani niyamya bhadrashabha papmanam prajaihi jnana vijnana nashanam. So how do you do? How does desire get into the system? Let's talk about that. Desire, see, desire resides where? It is here, right? It is here. Indriyas contacting tanmatras. Indriyas seek out tanmatras. That's where first desire resides there. That's one. Then what? When, let's say, desire enters here, it affects, it's already smoke. Then it comes to the next stage here. Manas, your thinking is affected.
The mirror.
You start rationalizing things, right, for desires. Then your buddhi gets affected. So when desire comes and sits here with buddhi, your sense of judgment is gone. What happens to your ahankara? See, as desire is becoming more powerful, ahankara becomes what? A puppet in the hands of desire, right? Your self is gone. See, you are strongest when the desire is kept at bay here. You are the weak. Ahankara is weakest when it enters buddhi. People, who are stuck in bad habits and all that, drugs and all that. What is the sense of self? Right? Desire has, become the womb. Ahankara is destroyed. Right? So sense of self is not something. So what is the difference between humility and ahankara then? Should we be humble or not? You're shaking your head?
Yeah, you should be humble. You should be humble.
Okay, then what about ahankara?
humble for good things. Ahankara is when humility itself you cannot experience. It has overtaken that.
See, can you be humble without a sense of self-worth?
No.
You cannot be truly, you can act humble. See, it's only when you are insecure, you become ahankari. Because you want to show the other person that you are not weak, you are strong, so you want to show others. But when you are truly, when you truly have the sense of self-worth, you can truly be humble. So they are both connected. Humility is connected to sense of self-worth, not otherwise. Right? So humility arises out of good ahankara, not durahankara. Durahankara is when you are insecure. When ahankara is less, then it becomes you cannot be humble. So that's how it's connected, right? So when desire grows stronger through indriyas, through manas, through buddhi, your ahankara is basically destroyed.
But does it work the other way around, like your sadhana or vidya?
That's what Krishna is saying, right? How do I keep desire at bay? So kama is here. But I want to keep kama at bay here. At the indriya level, that's it. It should not grow on me. The kama should not grow on me. How do I do that? He says, keep the manas strong. That means, how do I keep kamas at bay? He says, keep indriyas in control. How do I keep indriyas in control? Keep the manas focused. Keep the indriyas elsewhere. Focus the indriyas elsewhere through your manas. How do I do that through the manas? Have a good buddhi, understanding of what to do, what not to do. How to be, how not to be. How do I get that? How to be, how not to be? To have a good self-worth. Once you have a good self-worth, self-confidence, swabhimana, you can do that. How do I get swabhimana? Get a good education. Right? Be in satsanga. Be in surroundings where you get good from ano badraha kratavo yanto vishwataha. That is what this is, chitta. Right? So, how do you conquer desire? Get a good education. Right? So, see, we might, I think in the previous classes, when we were discussing this, I said, you have to stop kama at the level where it's the weakest. Stop it there, right? You might do it 1 day, 2 days, but then what happens? You say, oh, I cannot. You lose it. Why is that? Because ahankara is not strong. See, kama wins over ahankara. Right? You can do it 2 days, 3 days because you're fresh out of the class, but then you lose out because ahankara is not strong.
Motivation.
Yeah, motivation is motivation is tied to ahankara, right? Self-reliance. So if ahankara is not strong, you cannot put desires at bay. So you can do it 2 days. What Krishna is giving you is what? It's a root cause analysis of how do you really do that. He says that is when your chitta gets affected. That is when you get good ahankara, good roots, good pride, all of those things. That affects, your judgment. When people say bad things, you are no longer affected because you are stronger than them. When you become weaker than the others, you will become like that Buddha, right? When the ahankara, your ahankara is not there, whoever looks stronger, you try to follow them, right? That's how it is, right? If someone looks very self-confident, he might be, whatever he's telling probably is right. We start following, right? That is what Buddhi's job is that. Buddhi just follows, whoever looks stronger, it goes.
So when you talk about vidya at the chitta level, you're not talking about just intellectual education, right? It's education in broader sense.
Experience. Yeah. It is going through the experience in life, going through all of those things. Samskaras means getting that experience in life. Learning from others' experience, learning from the lineage, right? That is samskaras. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, this is not our education system. I'm talking about real education, right? This is the education of character. Once you get that, that's what props up your ahankara. Once your ahankara props up, nobody else looks intimidating to you in terms of, they cannot dictate to you what should be done, what not to be done. Right? Otherwise, your buddhi goes to whatever looks dominant.
So you mean by two elements, is it your daiva as well as purushakara? Chitta is something which is given
Correct.
to you as well as something which you are going to acquire in the process.
Correct. What is given is, we always see, Atma always goes around with the baggage of all this, right, until here. Leave the Tanmatras, but, Indriyas, all of these things, in the Sukshma Rupa, so when a person dies, it's not just Atma that goes away, the whole baggage goes with it, right? So pranas, that's in all, it takes all this. So all your karma, where is your karma? In the chitta. Right? The samskaras of the karma is here. Your experiences in life is carried to the next body. Right? So like you said, that's the daiva. What you bring from your previous. That is daiva. What you gain today is your purushakara. So two of them, both. So it is a reservoir of both. Your daiva and the purushakara.
So when you say the education there, do you mean like Jnana and Bhakti?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah. Jnana and bhakti both.
Okay.
Everything, yeah.
And that if you get a strong Jnana Bhakti, then that actually drives it down and keeps
I will go to another stage. That's when bhakti comes. But at this level, this is the body. Right? So the body is strong when your chitta is strong. So education is that important. Right? How you educate the child or how you educate a person in terms of their experiences of life determines how their ahankara is going to be, and that is the most important thing that determines everything else in their life. Because once anybody loses their ahankara, they are as good as gone. Buddhinasha pranashati is good, but why is there buddhinasha? Because there is ahankara nasha. Right? Swabhimana nasha. If that is there, then everything is lost. It is good education gives you swabhimana. If there is no swabhimana, the education is not good education. Right? So, in the inverted tree, this is basically where the roots are.
And within the Indriyas, is there one sense more stronger than the other?
Two senses are very, in terms of knowledge.
Taste.
No, but he's right. See, taste, sense of Jalatattva is where Kama resides, right? Jalatattva, so sense of taste is the worst one and it's the hardest to control, right? But where you acquire jnana, where do you acquire? Smell, you don't acquire Vedanta jnana through smell, not through taste, then eyes and ears. Two most dominant. Right? So those two are the most dominant. And those two are the ones that get affected, especially eyes. They are the ones that get affected by karma a lot.
Oh yeah.
Okay, any more questions on this?
So we can't say what percentage of this chitta is determined by your previous life. So maybe what your desires and what you're doing may not be in your complete control then, right?
Both, it's Purushakara and Daiva are both there. But again, it depends on what level that karma is, right? If the karma is like the womb, then it's very difficult. It's the desires are driving more than you driving the others, right? So that
I think that's why the satsang is so important. Who you associate with in your daily life.
see, when we think about control of desires and all that, we think about quick fixes, do some breathing and all of those things. Sangha is the first one.
Yeah.
Get to people
Yeah.
who can drive you in that. Group psychology is much more effective than individually trying to press things, and they don't work. Because it doesn't affect ahankara, right? You cannot have a quick fix for that. When you have a group psychology, that's when your chitta is affected, and naturally it changes your whole thinking.
All these alcohol anonymous and all those meetings are designed to control that.
Yeah, it's all based on.
I think the least control method will be covering things about the burkas and stuff like that.
Exactly. That's correct, right? So when you're covering things, you're trying to, affect here without affecting anything here, right? So it doesn't matter. If there is Vidya, everything is there.
Like the Gita class.
At the Gita class. Right? But I think we failed the quality control. So I cannot answer Deepak anymore now.
But this is satsang.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So even though when we are talking about desires and all of these things, doing the right things, we do not think about people and associating with like-minded, not like-minded, I mean if you are minded a certain way, you need to be in certain other associations, right? So that has the greatest effect. And your reading and your people who influence your life and your experiences in life, going through those experiences, those are the most dominating factors that help you achieve things. And if you look at West, they have structures in place that put their ahankara very strong. Right? Chittamadi, whatever is taught, there is a pride that it generates. And the pride causes all these things. And the first thing in Indian education system is hit at the pride. You are bad, everybody conquered you, you lost here, you lost there. Then you lose now also, right? So, that if you do not understand the importance of what Krishna is teaching here, then we lose everything, right?
The do-it-yourself culture, it builds that pride, that swabhiman.
That's swabhiman, yeah. That is very important.
But if you look at it from the opposite, right? If you
Yeah.
compare Christianity and Hinduism,
Right.
Christianity has this collective salvation idea. So you have the ahankara and group psychology. Hinduism has this individual moksha, right? So that's also what is.
No, even the moksha is individual. Satsanga is what? Sangha is very important. Right? Even Buddhist sanghas is bringing individuals together. That has been recognized everywhere. That you need to have good surroundings. Guru ashrama, all of these things are good surroundings. But finally, it is the individual, that has to do the sadhana. But that push has to come from the surrounding. That is recognized everywhere. That is what satsanga is. Right?
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Right? For good or for bad, both. It affects.
But it's less of it today, though, right? Over time, it's kind of.
What do you mean less? I thought it's more today.
I mean, we're doing it here, right? But generally, in India.
Oh, you mean satsanga?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
In historical term, it used to be more emphasis.
Yeah, in the groups, like people who get together for bhajans, all of those things, right? In Gujarati bhajan and all of
Yeah.
basically that's satsanga, getting together and getting that group psychology affect the individual a certain way. That's basically what it
Because
is.
in the West, they try to analyze the self or the psychology of a person through nature versus nurture. So,
It's both nature and nurture,
Yeah.
right? That's both.
but they try to pit one against the other, nature
Yeah.
versus nurture.
Right.
And especially when they try to analyze, people gone bad, especially.
Right.
And so they try to pit one against the other. It's really both.
Yeah, it's really both. It's both together. What sits on top of this? This is all Sharira. This is what? Chetana. Atma. This is all Prakriti's products. What sits outside Prakriti is what? Atma. Right? And then what sits on top of Atma? Prakriti. We can call this Maya.
Maya.
And finally, what is Saha that is referred to in this verse? Purusha, Paramatma. So, that means, even at the education level, at the chitta level, when you focus on, what the first principle of Sankhya was what? Deha and Atma were different, right? So that's so again that's a vidya for chitta.
Yeah.
So that means the allure of the desires below is no longer there when you start focusing on Chetana. Right? When you start understanding Prakriti, you start understanding Maya and how Maya works. Right? And then finally, when you are saying, when the Chitta learns about Paramatma, then all the allure of everything else goes away. I mean, we are talking about the Rishi level and all of it, which is probably not relevant to us, but that's how it is. So these are, if you look at all these are what? 27 principles of Sankhya. 24, Chetana Atma 25th, Prakriti 26th, Purusha or Paramatma is 27. 27 principles of Sankhya. Right? So, but just for us, within this body, we are capped at where? Chitta.
So now where does your Hatha come into it? Does that drive your Chitta?
Hatha, where is Hatha?
Oh, your Hatha.
Right. That's what. If your Hatha is not there.
If your Hatha is not there, you know what.
Exactly, right? So, Ahankara. So,
Yeah. And you said the Sukshma Sharira is which part of it?
so from see, there are Stula Indriyas, like eye is a Stula, right? But there's a Sukshma Indriya. That means you sense, your internal sense of sight is Sukshma. So, your Indriyas, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, all these are Sukshma Sharira. That means this is always with Jiva until Mukti. So this is the...
So in the present day sense, right, it's unfortunate that we are so divided. Is it because of our Vidya is not done?
Divided in what sense?
In the present, the elections, so many political parties, so many people looking out for themselves, even though they may have, but it is individual, not that they do.
Right. What about that, you said?
I don't know how to ask the question, but I see the differences, so many.
We will get good Ahankara on May 16th. Don't worry. And I will be in India to celebrate. So next class will be the final class. We have another class on May 11th, right? So that I'll be in India by then. So we'll finish for until 29th. I'll be there.
If I may, he's going to be appointed education secretary by Modi.
So you better come back after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then if you control the chitta, then the rest of it will come up.
Exactly.
I hope it happens.
I think, if I may rephrase your question, I think the question is that does Ahankara actually divide people?
It is of the nature of division, right?
Division.
It's like, when
that would be bad.
it is good and bad, right? See, as long as Ahankara protects you, it's good. See, what Ahankara does is it divides us from the others, right? Us and them comes in Ahankara.
Survival.
Right? So, if you don't have Ahankara, what happens? Your Ahankara is less. That means you are merged with the crowd. Right?
Yes, sir.
So your self-interest is gone.
You become a doormat.
Right? You become a doormat, right? But if your Ahankara is too much, that means you have divided yourself too much from the others. It's only me, not others. That's bad too. But good Ahankara is where you protect your self-interest as well as others. Right? Both are there. So, again, it is a balancing act.
I mean, if you look at the Ramayana, they ask the question to Hanuman, have you got Ahankara? And he goes, yes, I've got Ahankara. Because I've got the Ahankara that I'm a Bhakta of Ram.
And he's the Abhimani of Ahankara.
He's the
When
Abhimani.
we look at the Adidaiva, we'll see Hanuman comes there.
Exactly.
Prana. Yes.
So, Shankaracharya says, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Na Aham.
Na aham.
Na Aham.
Yeah.
Chidananda Rupa Shivo Aham Shivo Aham.
Yeah.
So he's none of that.
He's talking about this. I am the Chetana, I am neither the Chitta nor Ahankara, because this is all the body. But Aham is Chetana. This is what I am.
It's like, the simple syllable of him is like Aham Brahmasmi.
No, that is in Advaita, that means this Chetana, when the Maya goes away, is ultimately Paramatma. These two are the same, ultimately.
But then you're going to feel, well, is it really Maya? And
That's different traditions, right? So that's all. But these 27 is there in all, it's common to all traditions. I mean, this is all common. But and all of this it's all common. So how do you control the desire? And what kind of desires do you want to control? So, no good bad. You tell me in gunas.
Rajas and tamas.
Rajas. Huh?
Not a good idea to control. We cannot control, right?
Then-
Your marshal is wrong.
Okay, see, we passed the quality control now. Right?
What's the practical way some to do that?
In practical ways, attend the Gita class and be more successful.
There you
and knowledge.
Right, yeah.
go. So the next class will be on May 4th.
Which is next Sunday, right? Okay. Is it next Sunday? Next Sunday, yeah.
Correct. So that's the next class.
So next class is next Sunday. That will be the final class. So we have one verse, and we'll take the same template and look at the creation theory, and then how do you do puja? How do you worship? How, and all of these. So this is the Adhyatma domain, and then same thing reflects in Adhidaiva domain, and then Adhibhuta domain. We'll see that creation and all that, and then we'll finish third chapter. How do you think? You think
Very nice.
Krishna is right in saying all this, or you disagree with Krishna in some way? I said disagreeing is okay, as long as you have a reason.
We have to have a position to agree or disagree. It's just learning, right? So, lot to
Oh,
learn.
Bhagavad
It is the beginning,
Right.
Long way to go.
Like to get more practical ways to achieve that.
Right.
Focusing on whatever. Is it just meditation? Is it attending these classes?
No,
Practical things.
see, basically, how do you conquer the desire is to take the allure of the Maya away. Like, Bhartruhari. I'll give you, when we are talking about Maya, like, do we have a minute or so? Right? So, Bhartruhari, a great poet, Sanskrit poet, I think 800 or something AD, he says, this is 1200, 1300 years ago, he says, Adityasya gatagatair aharaha sankshiyate jivitam vyaparair bahukarya bhara gurubihi kalopi nagnayate दृष्ट्वा जन्म जरा विपत्ति मरणम त्रासश्च नोत्पद्यते पीत्वा मोहमयीं प्रमाद मदिराम उन्मत्त भूतम जगत. So I'll explain to you. So it says Adityasya gata agataihi. That means sun setting and rising. Sankshiyate jivitam. Our life is decaying, perishing with every sunrise and sunset every day, basically. Right? Vyaparair bahukarya bhara gurubihi kalopi nagnayate. I'm rushing around doing so many vyapara, so many things. Bhara gurubihi.